Okay, let's go ahead and now take terms. So factor the common factor. I know that seems really redundant. It'll just say to factor, you remember that. Factor each of the expressions, and remember when they say factoring, where do I have it? Here. Now let us GCF or factor terms. It's implied. So when you see or you read or you hear factor, it is implied that you're going for the greatest common factor, the most that is shared amongst the terms, whether it's 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, okay? It is implied that greatest common factor. So this is like factor the common factor. It's redundant, but just go ahead and factor these terms. You have a binomial, and you have a trinomial, right? Okay, now some of them have one base. This doesn't have a base, it's just a constant term. And these have 2 bases, 1 base, 2 bases, right? All right, so here we go. We're going to use parentheses because now that it is an expression, right? They don't have commas between them. It's an expression. So we're going to use parentheses or grouping symbols, and we're going to have what's left inside, right? That product, and we're going to GCF on the outside. Okay? Here we go. All right, you have 10 and 15. So 10 can be broken into 2 and 5. 15, 3 and 5. So 5 is my greatest common factor. So I'm going to pull that 5 out, right? So now let's look at our bases. I have p to the 4, p to the 6. So if we were to expand this out, and again, this is review. If you don't need to do the expansion, meaning p to the 4 is p to the 1, p to the 1, p to the 1, p to the 1, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what p to the 4, right, translates to. P to the 6 expanded is p to the 1, 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 p to the 1. There's your 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So expanded out, p to the 6 is p, 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 p. P, 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 p is p to the 4th, okay? How many are shared? You have 4 here, you have 6 here, right? How many are shared? 4 of them, smallest wins. So 4, and let's make sure I can count, 4 are going to be pulled out. And so I will be pulling out 4 p's, so p to the 4th. Okay, now what is left over here? This is P1, which is P squared, right? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do our grouping symbol, or parentheses. And now you have to tell me what is left over from these 2 terms, this binomial, right? So if I pull out a 5 from this 10, well, what is 10 divided by 5? 2. And now look at our factors. 5 times 2 gives me the product 10, right? 5 times 2, 10 product, correct. P to the 4, well, now remember, when you are multiplying, you're adding. When you're dividing, you're subtracting when you're dealing with exponent rules, okay? So if I'm taking 4 out, what is 4 minus 4? 0. And so all that I'm left with is just 2. And now check it. 2 times 5, p to the 4th, is 10 p to the 4th. Perfect. So now move on to your second term. 15 divided by 5, right? 3. So these are my factors. 5 times 3, product 15, right? You even have it right here. You even have it here. 2, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, right? So there's our prime. I mean, our, well, it's prime, but also factorization. Okay, p to the 6. Again, you're subtracting when you come to exponent laws. So if I pulled out 4, when I had 6, what is 6 minus 4? 2. And notice when I expanded it out, right, when I expanded out the p6, 4 of them were common, 2 were uncommon, that is p squared, and that goes along with 6. Take away 4 is p squared. And so that is our factoring using GCF. Okay, let's go to the second one. We have 10x minus 4. Remember, do not force. So 10 is 2 times 5. 4 is 2 times 2. My greatest common factor, 2. All right, so now look at x's. Here's x to the 1. You have none. You have no x's here. This is a constant term. There is no base. There's no variable. And so 0 wins because 0 is shared. And so that's all you can pull out. And so 2 times 5, x to the 1, or you could just leave the x there. It's up to you. And now check. 2 times 5x gives me 10x. Perfect. That's my product. So these two are factors. Now 4 divided by 2, negative 2, and this was a constant term, so there's nothing after that. And now check. If you were to distribute 2 times 5x, 10x, 2 times negative 2, negative 4. And so that is your check. If you ever want to check your work, just perform the distributive property, and that would give me 10x minus 4, and that gives me the exact same beginning. So I know I did it right. Keep going. Okay. Okay, so now we have a trinomial, 3 terms. All right, so let's break them down. I have 12, so I have 2 times 6, 3 times 6, 3 times 12. So looking here, I think the 36, I'm going to change it, and so make it 6 times 6. All right, why did I do that? Notice I have a 6 here. I have a 6 here. I didn't have a 6 here with the 3 and the 12. So let's make the 6 then. The other factors of 36 is 6 and 6, right? 3 and 12, 4 and 9, right? So we went for the 6 and the 6. And so now, what is our greatest common factor? 6, 6, 6. And it doesn't matter which 6 you circled, okay? All right, so here, but also, what do you also see that is in common? They are all negative. And so this is, you learn this in middle school, and it's a little difficult to kind of throw into this lecture. But if you recall standard form with linear equations, if the first term is negative, you should always pull that negative out, because standard form, your leading term should be positive. I don't know if you remember that. Okay, so negative 6 is what I'm pulling out. Okay, so now let's look at our m's. M6, M6, M3. Remember, smallest wins, so that m to the 3 wins. So it's m cubed. And now look at our n's. 1n, no n's, 1n. So 1n, 0, 1n. 0 wins. This middle term or second term does not have an n base. 0, that wins out. You can't pull anything out. And so this is our greatest common factor. But now we have to factor and show our other. What is left over, right? Okay, so what's negative 12 divided by negative 6? 2. M6, I remove 3m, so what's 6 minus 3? M to the 3. I remove 0 n's, right? There's no n here, so we leave the n there. So now move on to the next. Negative 18 divided by negative 6, positive 3. 6 m's, take 3 out, m to the 3. No n's, no n's, leave it alone. All right, negative 36 divided by negative 6, positive 6, 3m's, 3m's, so what's 3 minus 3? 0. Now, if you want to write m to the 0, you can, but remember, anything to the 0th power is 1, so it doesn't matter. And then n, carry that down, and so this is your GCF factor of this trinomial. Yes. Okay, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to hurry up and get the assignment loaded. Okay, so this will be GCF part 2 and then I'll get the assignment up. Okay, thanks guys.